For this video lesson, I'm going to show you how to solve equations when you have variables on both sides of your equal sign. So I'm going to give you an equation that looks like this. The important thing to know is that you need to get your variables, either the 3x or the 4x, on the same side of your equal sign, and it doesn't matter which one you move. Ultimately, we will all end up with the same answer. So again, here's this same equation. So we have two variables. We have 3x and we have 4x. However, they're on different sides of the equal sign, so we can't combine them like we've been doing in class. The first thing you need to do is draw a line down your equal sign. And this time, I'm going to get rid of the 3x because I know 3x is smaller than 4x, and when I subtract 3x from both sides, I will be able to cancel the 3x and be able to keep my variable positive on the right-hand side. So 3x minus 3x gives me 0, so I'm left with 2. And then 4x minus 3x is 1, and then I'm just bringing down the negative 1 I haven't used. Once you've moved your variables and combined them together, then you are left with an equation that we've been solving in class, where now we have x in one location. To cancel x, I should add 1, and we're going to end up with that x equals 3. Okay, here's our next example. Again, we have variables on both sides. We have 8y and negative 3y. I can either cancel this 8y by subtracting it, or I could cancel this 3y by adding it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3y because, again, as I think through my problem, if I'm adding 3y, then I'm giving myself a positive variable. So 8y plus 3y, I'm going to add those together, and then negative 3y and 3y will cancel because those are opposites, and that's the additive inverse. So I'm left with 11y. I haven't used the minus 9, and I haven't used the 2. Now we're left with a two-step equation. If I'm solving for y, I'm going to cancel my subtraction with adding 9 to both sides. And then finally, I'm left with multiplication, and I can divide both sides by 11 and get that y equals 1. Here's our next example. Again, we have variables on both sides. However, on this equation, we have parentheses. So the first thing that we need to do is use the distributive property to get rid of those parentheses. So I'm going to take this 4 and I'm going to distribute it into the parentheses using multiplication. When I do that, I get 4 minus 8x, and then I haven't changed anything on the right side of my equation. Again, I have two variables to move. A lot of you like to solve with the variable on the left-hand side, so I'm going to add 6x because it's subtraction. And when I do that, I'm going to be left with 4, and then you have to be careful. This is a negative 8x plus 6x, which will give me negative 2x. And then we haven't used the 4 on the right-hand side. So now I'm going to start solving for x, so I can subtract 4 from both sides. This minus sign, remember, goes with the 2x. This 4 is positive. To cancel it, we have to subtract it. So now I'm left with 2x equals 0, and this is multiplication. Our last step will be to divide both sides by negative 2, and we get that x equals 0. Okay, here's our last example. So this time we have variables on both sides of our equation, and we have parentheses on both sides. So again, the first thing that we're going to do is get rid of the parentheses using the distributive property. On the left-hand side of that equation, I am going to distribute the 8x through, so that becomes 8x plus 32. Remember, distributive property is multiplication. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to distribute the 5 through and get 65 plus 5x. So now again, I have variables on both sides. I'm going to cancel this 5x. I want to move it over with the 8x. To do that, I need to cancel it. So I'm going to subtract 5x on both sides. When I do that, I'm going to get 3x plus 32 equals 65. Now I can actually start solving for x. So I can cancel the adding of the 32 by subtracting 32. And that's going to give me 3x, and then 65 minus 32 is 33. And then our last step, it's multiplication. We're going to divide to cancel multiplication. And we will be left with x equals 11. I hope you learned something new, and I look forward to having you in class.